And we got home yesterday. We had worked 4 hours on content and looking at editing, which that's all about how a podcast takes place. And it was thundering and lightning, and we got caught in a torrential
downpour.
Yes, just going 10 feet from the building to the cars, drenched. And then we did it again, and I got out and got into my car and drenched.
I drove you around the block though,
right?
Because originally you were going to take the blanket and run around the block, and I was like, get in the car, we're just gonna go.
Yeah, it was halfway around the block from her wellness lounge. So we got soaked, get home, spent 4 hours.
Remember that hyper focus I just talked about? And then my husband interrupts. Gonna have to. Hey, I am recording a podcast currently.
Oh, sorry.
I love you.
I love you. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Perfect. But that's so I get home myself. I drive into the garage because hello, we have a garage and it's attached to the house, and I don't have to get out again and get soaked. My husband meets me in the garage, and he goes, I wanted you to leave the car outside because the garage is hot and muggy. I go like, I'm drenched now, okay? My hair is dripping. I go, no. I have my computer going into the garage. And he's very sweet. He had supper started, and he's really the cook in the family and baker. So he wanted to chat because we had been busy for 4 hours, and now I'm drenched.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to, Nikki, the same with you. You were mentioning that when you got home, yeah, you have to reconnect at the end of the day. You got to do it.
Yeah, you have to reconnect, but there's some point where you have to. We're still very busy business women, and so to have that balance is not something that I'm real good at still. And I have this undiagnosed ADHD.
I feel like I have it too. They didn't have that.
That wasn't a term
It
back
wasn't
then.
a thing.
It wasn't a thing back then. It was just me being unmanageable as a child, or misunderstood as a child, outburst, and all of this inner core, inner rage, things that just weren't in my control. And then I felt growing up, I felt like a lot of people really thought I felt different, and I couldn't understand why I wasn't like everybody else. And that really bothered me. And so I tried to fit into all the molds, and I was sent to all of the specialists and,
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because this is in, like, what years?
90s. Well, I mean, 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
So my outlook on life, the way my brain was working was completely different from the majority of the people around me. And I was the one that felt like I was an outcast. So I started that monster inside of my brain at a very early age.
And that was reinforced because your parents kept taking you to specialists.
Yes.
Oh, there's something wrong with
There's something wrong with you.
Nicole.
There's something wrong. I mean, I remember, so the Christian school, remember, I'd have these outbursts, or I wouldn't react well to my environment, and I would.
Like how?
Well, I would outburst. So, for instance, I had this one time that one girl was I was hiding on the teacher because it was going to be so much fun, because the teacher's going to come in and I'm going to jump out, I'm going to say boom. And I was so excited about this. I was very young. And the girl said, Nikki's right there under the desk. And that imploded and then exploded inside of me. And I just raged and got out from under the desk and, went fist to flying and pulled her hair. And it was like I had absolutely no control. What I felt was no control because I was very, very excited. Then all of a sudden I just got rageful because she had interrupted my thought pattern, my brain pattern. And back then I didn't know that. I was just a misbehaved child.
Well, it was kind of like betrayals. You wanted to surprise. I don't think. Well, I'm not sure how old you were. Kindergarten, maybe.
Oh, really young. Well, kindergarten I was throwing chairs at Danny Olmsted.
Well,
so
I mean,
did
it's not
not
funny.
take. Yeah, I wasn't able to take my environment and understand that things around were different or changed. Like they had to be very controlled for me, in order for me to feel centered. And when they weren't, I couldn't.
So you needed to schedule a set routine.
Yes.
To keep yourself kind of feeling safe. And
Yep.
that you could trust people around you.
Yes.
Because, I mean, a little kid who's excited too and says, oh, Nikki's under here.
Mm-hmm.
While it is kind of mean, she had probably no idea that would...
set me off.
Well, no, not that, but just that was like a secret she was supposed to keep to help be part of the excitement, right?
Right. So when, that moment, and I was always, they had this hallway. It was in the basement of one of the schools, which was the Christian school we went to. And it had this hallway with like this brick, and then one of the closets was lined with the books, the teacher's books, the textbooks. I spent a lot of my days in the closet alone.
You mean as punishment?
Correct, because I was unmanageable. And so I was separated from my class because I was not manageable. And so I would sit in the desk in this narrow closet, dark. I mean, they had a light, obviously, and that's where I would sit alone.
Because you needed focus. You needed time to
Well,
process.
they couldn't manage me. I outbursted a lot.
But you were calm and on task when you were alone?
I was calm and on task when I was alone. And I actually had a few really good teachers who told me that they loved me. And they were like, you're basically, you're a Spitfire, but like you've got something in you that is just very beautiful. But nobody knew how to take care of me. And so I started thinking there's something wrong with me.
So do you think your parents knew how to?
Absolutely not.
Did they, we're getting personal here, tell you they loved you?
No. I mean, if I said, oh, my parents told me they loved me, I always felt safe and secure in my home. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. I came from a broken home. And then I came from a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of trauma in my home. So, I never really felt safe.
And you are you're the second oldest?
I'm the second oldest. We have a split family. So me and my older sister were from the same mom and dad. And then my mother remarried when I was about 7. And then she had 2 boys after that.
And you all lived with your mom
My
and
mom,
stepdad?
correct. Yep.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think I'm a little bit different. I'm first in my family. I brought my parents together, let's just say. And So my dad was 22, my mom was 21.
Were you the secret no one talked about?
Well, I was a secret until I was born.
Right?
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, because my parents got married in March of my dad's senior year at Maine, and my mom was teaching at an elementary school in Lewiston. So it wasn't until the end of the school year they actually lived together because she had to finish out her contract with the Lewiston School Department. And so I was born and they were kids, right? So my mom wrote in my baby book that so when I learned, I was just standing up and they were laying on the bed or sitting on the bed, so it was a soft spot place for me to stand up. And my dad, I'd stand up and my dad would just give me a little nudge and I'd fall over and I would laugh and he would laugh, of course. And then I stood up again and he'd nudge me again and I fell down again, and it was like a little fun game. And to me it was like, this is funny. I like this. I'm gonna get back up. You're gonna push me down? Well, I'm getting up. Even at whatever, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months.
Do you remember that?
I don't remember this, but when I saw my mom had written this down, you laughed so hard and you kept getting up, and he kept. It was
pushing
a game.
You down, yeah.
It was a game, and so I always had, maybe it was a playfulness, a competitiveness possibly, but in a positive light, so that when I went to school, and of course, I mean, my sister was born like 18 months after I was born, and so we're so close in age. I remember getting things for Christmas such as, well, back then it was a leather football helmet. We each had leather football helmets.
Your dad was a real sports guy, though.
Sports, yeah.
Coach,
player.
So of course you got a leather football helmet for Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, so we're like, I knew how to. He taught. I had a red Ted Williams baseball bat I brought to school. Now, when you could do that, it was at Webster Street School in Orono, which is torn down now, but on the Webster side, and the boys all played baseball at recess. Well, I played too. I do remember getting bullied, like you mentioned, in school because of my name. And not in a way that it was a boy's name. I guess I could say it. They'd just say, instead of Teddy, they go, Teddy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was it the girls or the boys
Oh,
that
the
were?
boys. It was the boys. But they were very jealous. So, but we played baseball.
So you were
some
on
good
the
friends.
baseball team.
Just recess.
Oh, in recess, and you would play baseball with the boys, and they would make fun of you, give you these names, and instead of calling you Teddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some, not all, because I have a really good friend. He's a freelance writer in Boston now, and I'll ask him if we could talk about his name, but he's a good friend and he remembers those games. And the point is that I'd play baseball, and I had one other girl in my class played too. And when you're in first, second, and third grade, you're taller than some of the boys.
That is true. I remember being very tall, because we would line up in the basement, and I would tower over everyone. And I'm not really sure what happened because I stopped. I thought that I should have been at least 5'11", the way that I was growing, but that's another story.
I just got to tell you this one episode too of they were making fun of things, and a couple of boys stood up to that. Yeah, you think you're such a great hitter. Well, I'm going to hold my bat at the fat end and get a hit. And they were doing, I said, yeah, really? I got up to bat, held my little red Ted Williams bat with the fat end, and I hit over their heads. Okay? And I just ding, 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 ran around the bases, right? You know. But I have to thank my father for pushing me down on the bed, I guess. Because I never knew why it didn't never bother me. Did not bother me.
So I have to ask you, were you told that you were loved?
Yes.
Very much.
All the time.
All the time. So it sounds like you're growing up and your story has a very different experience than what I felt, because you felt, even though you were being mocked and you were told that you couldn't do this and you were playing with the boys, and you still had the voice inside of you was like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. And my voice was very different in that I can't do this, or I shouldn't be doing this, or, you know, there's a difference in that monster that's inside your brain.
Right.
So that it just, you can tell, you know, just by listening to your story. And I'm like, oh, like, good for you, Teddy. Way to go, hit it. Yeah, you tell those boys what to do, you know, and you go be a girl and be great. I didn't feel that when I was growing up. I felt very ashamed of everything that I was doing because it was so misunderstood, and I was misunderstood. And so I started this monster, and I call it the secret silent monster, because nobody knows it's happening in your brain except for you.
And you can't explain it.
And you can't explain it. So that negative voice that's just constantly telling you how you're not enough, or you're not good enough, or you like, look what you've done, or you're in the closet again, you know, and you promised yourself that you're not going to behave that way.
I have to tell you a story because the closet thing. So we were living where the Family Dog restaurant is right now in Orono. There was a big house and a big lawn, and I was heading off to Asa Adams as a year older. So I'm in 4th grade now, and my sister was going to Birch Street School, and I always waited for her so that we could walk to the corner. I would go across the street and she'd go down the hill to the school. I'd go across to the Asa Adams. That's crossing Main Street. And she was just always late, always whatever. And my sister.
Mm-hmm.
Now I had 2 younger brothers too. So my mom, as an only child, she's bringing up 4 kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think she was very overwhelmed, and my sister was not ready. She was belligerent. She was just giving my mom a hard time. And I remember this one day, Sherry's having like a tantrum of some sort. My mother put her in the closet. Sorry, Mom. She's, but, and she goes, Sherry is screaming. There was no light in there.
Right.
By the way.
Been there too.
Right. And just doing her tantrum, my mother goes, Teddy, you walk to school now. I don't want you to be late. I'm like, oh my God. Well, I didn't say that, but I'm thinking, I was like, oh. So I'm walking to school with thinking that my sister is in the closet. And my mother, because my sister years later said, Mom, you traumatized me. You know, I'm screwed up because of what you did that day.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, I put you in the closet because I was afraid that I was going to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
Like spank you so hard, or
Right.
I couldn't control myself.
Right.
And of course, apparently when I left, she opened the door and, you know, things calmed down, but
So your sister, in a way, your sister was overstimulated.
well,
And
who knows?
Because that's what this outbursts are. You know, they're this overstimulation and unregulation of your emotion, and for whatever reason she was overstimulated, and your mom didn't, and my teachers didn't know what to do,
Right.
except for remove you from all the stimulation. But they didn't know back then that that's what was going on.
Correct.
They just knew this child is
Out
out of control and we need to just get her away. So I hear that as a child as unique, as negative.
And it is, yeah.
It's because they didn't know how to,
They
we
didn't
work
explain
now. Well, they didn't know. So we know now that it's an overstimulation, it's a brain chemistry, it's your body just can't be regulated. And they have so many tools now for people and for children that are overstimulated, and how to gently, get them so they can regulate themselves
Calm
again.
themselves.
Yeah.
And I substitute taught after I retired from air traffic. A friend of mine was taking a leave of absence, art teacher. So I went to Asa Adams School, and I observed how far people have come. The teachers, the caring educators. There was this, I think she was in pre-K, a little girl who was out of control. I don't know what set her off. I don't know what obviously, her diagnosis of what her situation was. But I had so much respect because the head, I guess they call it special needs teacher, or I'm not sure what their titles are. But the point is they wrapped up one of those floor mats that is got corrugated kind of segments. She was flailing around in the hallway. They talked gently to her. They put one of those mats kind of around her to keep her contained, and they're talking nicely and softly and calmly to her until she got her body under control. I watched it in the hallway. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? I mean, you first come across a kid who's flipping around like a fish in the hallway screaming.
And back in the 80s, for me, that would be me being drugged by the arm down the hallway and tossed in a closet.
Right.
With the door shut behind me.
Yeah, I mean, wow. I mean, the strategies that teachers had then compared to now, I mean, night and day.
Mm-hmm. So that goes back to my topic, and I think that we're going to end up probably wrapping up and carrying this on to the next episode. Like, this will probably be a 2-part series, because that's where my negative voice and the monster inside my head really got started, is that sort of misunderstanding about how I was, how I behaved, how I was wired, and not understanding that throughout my entire life.
And you were secluded, and this is the thing that saved me. If we want to summarize it, I felt that because I had a community of kids that I could play with, and had somehow that little bit of confidence instilled in me. It's almost like the song The Boy Named Sue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was a girl named Ted for Ted Williams, and I just, I'll show you, and I'm going to play on the team. I'm going to be in this community. We're going to get along.
Right.
And I had the support and love from my parents that I could do it.
Right.
I also had firsthand knowledge of the opposite way it could be. So I'm like, whoa, I'm not going to go there. My poor sister.
I don't want to get tossed
right?
in the closet.
Yeah, I'm not going to. If I got tossed in the closet, I'd probably say, like, oh, fine. I now got alone time. In fact, I just have to say this. People get freaked out doing MRIs.
Yes.
They don't like to go into the pod or whatever. I can remember I had to go for a jaw thing. Another story too. But, and I had a son, single mom. And they go, we have to take you in and you put, and I'm like, what? This is a sleeping pod? Thank you. And I lay down. I was so relaxed, so happy to be in there. In fact, the guy goes, Teddy, wake up. You're falling asleep. We can't have you move, because apparently I was like, drop off.
Right.
But that's the difference.
It's a difference. And if I went into the MRI, I could tolerate it. I could regulate myself for a little bit, but there would be a trigger that would be over the edge. Like, I can only tolerate for so long, and then I would feel confined. I need out. I'd start panicking.
Oh, sure.
You know, and it's that confinement. So your brain is not wired the same way mine is.
Correct.
And so we'll pick this up next week and talk about the differences in the wiring, and then how we've overcome the negative voice, or the, you know,
and strategies people can take to help themselves, because now there are many ways for healthy focus, for meditation, for
clarity,
for maybe your diet is deficient in vitamins, certain nutrients that your body needs so that your brain can function. There is a huge gut brain connection.
Yeah. All right. So
The summary.
Yeah, let's summarize this. Teddy, go ahead.
I do want to say there's differences in childhood upbringing and how people think about situations that they cannot handle. You can look back at your childhood and look at those things that Nikki and I have just done, the contrasting, and also how to overcome some of these things, which we will expand upon next time.
Yeah, and the monster inside, how maybe it got started in your self-talk, negative self-talk, and how to find love for yourself, self-care and love, and know that you can change that in a monster into a gentle voice and a positive voice.
And know that you can improve via self-care at any age.
Any age.
You're beautiful.
You're beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
That was great. I want to apologize for making you self-conscious about using the word "so."
I know I was, and I was like, so.
Don't be.
But it's a filler.
So
It is a filler.
We know that.
but it shows your personality when you use that word. So I'm like, okay, I probably shouldn't have said anything at all. But
No.
in writing, you shouldn't
Yeah.
use that often.
So-
But when you're talking in person, it shows who you are a little bit more. So ignore me when it
Okay.
comes to that part. Just do your thing.
It does make sense when you're reading the script, though, to be very
Yeah, concise.
concise.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like,
But when you're having a conversation, it's part of your mannerisms.
it's like saying "look" or
Yeah,
"hey"
yeah.
or
Yeah.
I say a lot, and I hate that.
Yeah, no, so this, I just want to apologize for
Don't
making you
apologize.
self-conscious
It's-
about that.
Yeah, it's not anything. Which is one thing that I do want to add at the end of everything. Something healthy that we can talk about, that people can do,
Yeah,
that promotes you and me.
yeah, like the vitamins. Like, I really love that you threw the vitamins in there, because that's such.
I mean, this is what
thing
I'm
about
taking now,
balance.
healthy focus.
So we'll start the next episode with, I mean, because this was more of a, this is how you get the negative voice.
So can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
My daughter, who's turning 15, she watches a lot of podcasts on YouTube, and she absolutely loves the podcasters that mixes in their self-promotion in the podcast, and it's seamless. You don't even know that it's being done. She's like, that's clever.
Yeah.
She's like, that is very clever, you know.
Now that's the thing is that, I mean, not that we have to be endorsing certain companies.
No.
But hello, I'm gonna drink Poland Spring water because it's a Maine company.
Yeah.
I'm
And
gonna
I'm gonna drink Bangor water because I'm
no,
just thirsty.
but I mean, if I,
Bangor water has one of the best drinking waters, best tasting waters in the state, by the way,
Yeah,
but if
because they use the same source as Brewer.
yeah.
Their processing is a little bit different, but Brewer just won first place last year. Best tasting drinking
Where?
water in Maine.
Wow.
where
Have you ever drank
where's
Florida
the
water?
source?
The source, there's a pond in Eddington, and no one's allowed to build new.
Up where
Structure,
the Army Guard is, I think it's Pickerel Pond.
No, not Pickerel Pond. Pickerel Pond is
Drake's Pond.
in. Oh my goodness.
That's way out there.
Yeah. That's
It's Craig's, not Craig's Pond. It's
But
yeah.
the pond
where
is.
the Boy Scout camp is.
Nope. Boy
No?
Scouts camp is not there. It's pristine. So all the current cabins there are grandfathered, but they're not
Right.
allowing any more structures to be built
Right.
there. And when those buildings have no one to care for it anymore, it's going to be absolutely
There's
nobody
nothing.
there.
Yeah.
I mean, they even limit like how much fishing is done in that pond and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool.
Okay,
Anyways,
so
I loved how that took a turn and I didn't even know where it was going. But it like contrasted to us and I didn't even know.
yeah, you
I
too.
didn't know. We had
So
no
that's
idea.
serendipitous moments like that means it was meant to happen,
Yeah.
and people can see things from both sides for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And
not.
that's why it's good to have a co-host.
Mm-hmm.
When it's a
Right.
single person, it's kind of hard to have that.
'Cause you don't have any like,
Mhm.
oh, by the way, that and
Right.
that's
Yeah.
him,
Right.
La, la, la.
No,
Mhm.
but having a co-host I think is amazing.
And you said like, did your parents tell you that they loved you? And it was like, ooh, I don't think so. And then to hear how your mind was completely different than how mine was, because did your parents tell you they loved you? Yeah, they
But
did.
my parents told my sister they loved her too, and she just freaking look. When I saw her even act out, I'm definitely not drinking. I'm definitely not gonna be punished. I'm definitely not, because I mean, it was right there in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was the good little sweet little,
Mm-hmm. It's funny.
and we talk about this later, but for your daughter, just the whole thing is like, my dad being a football coach, and I saw him in the collegiate level. I was like, I'm playing college
Mhm.
sports. I am definitely playing college sports because it's so much a part of my life, right?
Mhm.
And he had told me, well, I don't know, probably 7th, 8th grade, don't ever smoke or drink. Don't ever. You want to be the best you can be? Don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna let you keep talking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
No.
go.
Oh
Yeah. Well, great job,
So-
guys. Great job.
Thank you.